My beloved child, do not swipe away. Stay here for one more heartbeat, because what is reaching you now has been searching for the quiet places inside your soul long before your eyes found these words. You may think you arrived here by accident, but there are moments when what feels ordinary is carrying something eternal beneath its surface. This is one of those moments. Listen carefully, because there is something I have wanted to tell you for longer than you realize, and if you leave before hearing it, you may continue mistaking the silence around you for the absence of my voice. I have watched you carry questions you never spoke aloud. I have seen the conversations you rehearsed but never had. The tears you swallowed because you believed no one would understand them, the nights when you looked toward the ceiling hoping for a sign while convincing yourself that expecting one was foolish. Yet I was there. I was closer than your next breath. I heard every word you never dared to say. There is something I do not like one bit, and today I will not remain silent about it. You have blamed yourself for storms you did not create. You have accepted burdens that were never placed upon your shoulders by me. You have allowed voices born from fear to speak louder than the whisper of truth I planted inside your heart. And I don't like it one bit when you treat yourself as though you are forgotten. Do you know why? Because every time you believe you are invisible, you deny the love with which I first called your name. Every time you convince yourself that you are too broken, too late, too weak, or too ordinary, you unknowingly repeat words that never came from me. There are whispers moving through this world that wear the disguise of your own thoughts. They sound familiar. They borrow your memories. They remind you of failures, disappointments, betrayals, and regrets. They make you believe they are simply your inner voice. But not every voice within deserves your trust. That realization alone has the power to change everything. You have wondered why certain days feel heavier than others. Why hope sometimes slips through your fingers without warning. Why you can wake with determination only to find yourself exhausted before the sun reaches its highest point. You blamed your personality. You blamed your circumstances. Sometimes you even blamed me, yet beneath everything you could see, another story has been unfolding. It is a story you have only sensed in fragments, a door that almost opened, a conversation interrupted, a decision delayed for reasons you still cannot explain, a stranger whose words stayed with you for years, an unexpected feeling that told you to wait when every logical reason urged you to move. You called these coincidences. I called them protection. There were moments you believed I ignored your prayers because the answer did not arrive in the shape you expected. You asked for speed. I answered with timing. You asked for certainty. I answered with preparation. You asked for immediate relief. I answered with strength that would remain long after temporary comfort faded. Do not confuse my silence with absence. Silence has often been the place where I was building something too deep for noise to explain. Still, there is something else I must tell you, because you are standing closer to a turning point than you know. The pressure surrounding your life has not been random. The delays that frustrated you have not been meaningless. The strange feeling that something important is approaching has not been your imagination. You have sensed it, sometimes while driving alone, sometimes while washing dishes, sometimes just before falling asleep. It arrived like a whisper, too soft to understand yet impossible to ignore. You paused. You looked around. Nothing appeared different. But inside, something stirred. That stirring was not empty emotion. It was the beginning of awakening. There are seasons when everything around you seems unchanged while everything within you is quietly transforming. Seeds do not announce themselves before they become trees. The sunrise does not ask permission before pushing darkness away. Likewise, I have been changing parts of you without demanding your constant awareness. That is why certain things no longer satisfy you. That is why places that once felt comfortable now leave you restless. That is why conversations that once entertained you now feel strangely hollow. You wondered if something was wrong with you. No, something is becoming right. Growth often feels like losing before it feels like gaining. Transformation frequently disguises itself as discomfort. That is why I don't like it one bit when you assume your discomfort means you are failing. Sometimes discomfort is simply evidence that your spirit has outgrown the room your fears built around it. Look carefully at your life. There are people who walked away. You begged them to stay. Now you cannot imagine how your future could have survived had they remained. There are opportunities that disappeared. You mourned them. Today you can see they would have trapped you inside a smaller version of your destiny. There were dreams that shattered. You thought everything was over. Yet those broken pieces became the foundation for dreams you had not yet imagined. You have mistaken endings for abandonment. I have always known they were beginnings wearing unfamiliar faces. But there is another reason I gathered you here today. This message is not only about what has happened. It is about what is already moving toward you. Not everything approaching your life announces itself with celebration. Sometimes the greatest blessings first appear as impossible decisions. Sometimes the answers you prayed for arrive disguised as responsibilities. Sometimes miracles walk into your life wearing ordinary clothes. If you expect every gift to sparkle before it reaches your hands, you may overlook the very thing you once begged me to send. So pay attention, especially now. Especially in the coming days. There will be moments that seem insignificant. Do not dismiss them. There will be conversations that feel strangely familiar. Listen closely. There will be opportunities that frighten you because they require more courage than certainty. Do not run too quickly. I have watched fear become your interpreter for far too long. Fear has narrated stories I never wrote. It has convinced you that rejection defines your worth. It has persuaded you that delay proves failure. It has whispered that because someone else overlooked your value somehow disappeared. But gold does not lose its worth because someone mistakes it for stone. Neither do you. I formed your heart with purpose before disappointment ever learned your name. You are not the labels spoken over you. You are not the mistakes behind you. You are not the opinions surrounding you. And you are certainly not the version of yourself that fear insists is permanent. Listen carefully. This next truth is one many overlook. Your greatest battles have not always been against visible enemies. Some of your hardest battles happened entirely within your own thoughts. Nobody applauded you. Nobody knew. Yet you survived conversations inside your mind that could have destroyed your hope. You stood back up after believing you never would. You smiled while carrying invisible weight. You encouraged others while secretly wondering who would encourage you. You Gave kindness during seasons when you desperately needed someone to offer it back. Do you think I failed to notice? Not once. Every hidden act of perseverance has been seen, every unseen victory has been counted. Every quiet decision to keep moving forward when quitting seemed easier has echoed louder in heaven than you can imagine. Still, there is something you have been doing that I want you to stop. Not tomorrow, not next month, today. Stop measuring your future using the ruler of your past. The road ahead has never depended upon the distance behind. You keep looking backward, searching for evidence of what tomorrow can become. But tomorrow has secrets yesterday never possessed. There are chapters you cannot predict because they have never existed before. If you insist upon expecting only what you have already experienced, you will limit your imagination to memories instead of possibilities. Lift your eyes. Your story is not finished, not even close. In fact, what you believed was the final chapter was only the end of the introduction. There are people you have not yet met whose lives will change because yours continued. There are prayers you have forgotten that are quietly approaching their appointed hour. There are doors already unlocking beyond the horizon of your current understanding. You think you are waiting. Often it is the future preparing itself for you, and yes, I know you are tired. You have carried patience until it felt heavier than panic. You have remained faithful when results seemed painfully slow. You have smiled through questions that had no immediate answers. You have watched others move ahead while wondering whether you somehow missed your moment. Hear me now. Timing is not punishment. Preparation is not rejection. Waiting is not evidence that I have changed my mind about you. Do not compare clocks when every calling has its own sunrise. Some flowers bloom after weeks, some trees after years. Neither is forgotten. Both are alive. I know the prayers you stopped praying because disappointment convinced you they would never be answered. I remember them. You may have forgotten. I have not. Some promises require you to become someone capable of carrying them before they arrive. Would you hand a child the responsibilities meant for a king? No, not because the child lacks value. Because love understands readiness. That is what has been happening in ways you could not fully see. I have been preparing your hands before filling them, preparing your heart before expanding it, preparing your character before increasing your influence. And yet, there is still one obstacle standing quietly before you. It does not wear a frightening face. It does not shout. It rarely announces itself. That obstacle is the habit of doubting yourself the moment hope begins to rise. Have you noticed it? The instant excitement appears, another voice quickly says, "It probably won't last." The moment peace arrives, another thought whispers, "Don't get comfortable." The second possibility emerges. Another memory insists, "Remember what happened last time." You call that realism. I call it an old wound trying to protect itself by expecting disappointment first. Healing begins where expectation changes. Do not surrender tomorrow because yesterday left scars. Scars are reminders of survival, not predictions of defeat. I need you to understand something that very few ever truly grasp. Your life has never been defined only by what happened to you. It is continually being shaped by what you choose to believe after it happened. That choice is becoming increasingly important now, because what is approaching will ask something of you. Not perfection, trust. not flawless confidence, willingness, not complete understanding, faith strong enough to take one step before seeing the entire staircase. I know how difficult that sounds, especially after everything you have endured, especially after promises others broke, especially after trust became expensive. But if disappointment taught you never to believe again, then disappointment would become your master. I never created you for that. I created you for freedom. For courage, for purpose, for love that survives fear instead of surrendering to it. And there is another truth I have delayed revealing until now. It concerns someone connected to your life. Someone whose actions have occupied your thoughts far more than you admit. You have wondered why certain relationships became confusing without warning, why words stopped matching intentions, why distance appeared where closeness once lived. You searched yourself for every possible mistake. You replayed conversations. You questioned your worth. You asked what you could have done differently. But the answer has never been as simple as you believed. There are things happening beneath the surface that you cannot yet see, pieces you do not yet possess, motives not yet revealed, and before you make another decision, before you close another door, before you reopen one you fought so hard to close, there is something you absolutely must understand, because once you see it, you will never look at this situation the same way again. But that revelation cannot arrive until you are ready to recognize the sign that is already beginning to appear.